Have you ever felt stuck between holding on and letting go? Wondering if you're surrounded by the right people or if it's time for you to change lanes in your career? What if I told you that every item, every person, and every job in your life right now is either a stepping stone or a stumbling block to your dream future? Hello, sophisticates. It's Davina Dandridge. Today, we are going on a journey to discern what in our lives deserves a place in our future and what needs to be gently released, let go, set free. And we're going to use the lens of emotional intelligence. So let's dive into the art of curating a life that not only looks good, but it feels authentic and fulfilling. So let's jump to the main point. Are you surrounded by friends or foes? It's hard today to decide who is really on your side and who is potentially an enemy. And that's because people have their own agendas. And maybe they felt one way about you at one point, and now things have changed. You've changed, and now they're really not sure how to deal with you. So there comes a time in any relationship where you have to assess the relationship. You have to determine whether this is something that you're going to keep going with, that's going to use your energy and your time, or if it's time to just let it go. And sometimes it's time to just let it go. But we're going to explore this by using emotional intelligence because emotional intelligence is the key to your success. So, because we are studying emotional intelligence, and once you begin applying emotional intelligence to your life, you'll get an understanding that there is value in the quality of your interactions with people. You don't want to waste time interacting with someone just to be nice, and it just has no value to your emotions, no value to your life at all. But you might be surprised at how much people influence our thoughts and actions, just the small things. That's why having the right circle of support is paramount to your future success. You got to have the right people around you. And your friendships are nourishing your growth. It helps to fuel you in those times when you feel low. But sometimes they can be reminders of your past self. So it also depends on where you are in your emotional journey, whether you have addressed the issues that you need to address. And many times people rely on the people from their past for advice and support because they feel as though they can trust them. It's loyalty, right? They're your ride or die friend. They hold your secrets, and maybe they have supported you in other times in your life. And so you feel like that these are the people that you should turn to. And I have friends like that too. When I look back over different times in my life, there are certain friendships that mean so much to me because of how close we were then. And over my lifetime, I've had friends from my neighborhood, friends from school, and friends that I met, just in life. I even made a few friends at work from time to time. But as I got older, no matter how close we once were, being a friend, at some point, you're not friends in the same way anymore. We stopped talking to or seeing each other every day or as frequently as we used to. And maybe we got busy or our interests just changed. Or maybe there was an incident that just changed the tide. Like, okay, how can we move past this? If do I want to move past this? You know, but what I once had with that person isn't there anymore. And I know you've heard this saying, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Some relationships were not meant to last for your entire lifetime. You have to assess the value or influence of the relationships you have in your life today. Because those relationships and those interactions have gotten you to the point where you are right now. So if you want to progress forward, then you have to recognize how these relationships influence the dynamics of your future. Loyalty in this instance is not what matters. Let me explain this. So everybody is caught up when they talk about what a true friend is or what they want in a relationship. The first thing I hear is loyalty. Loyalty. I don't weigh loyalty the same way at this point in my life when it comes to friendships. The way I see most people defining this characteristic of loyalty, and they apply it to friendship, is that they expect a good and grown person with their own family and their own responsibilities to somehow be obligated to place the importance of my well-being or their own well-being above their own. Who does that? Real life doesn't work that way. Loyalty, in the sense that most people are talking about, like I just described, is an attribute that you'd give to someone in a gangster movie or in an espionage film. They aren't real life. Okay. What you need are people who are either new friends or old friends around you that support you and encourage you to do better. You need a community of people that are planning and moving forward in their own lives and in their careers and even in their relationships, and they're working on their emotions. They are working on themselves to be better for themselves. You also need friends who support you when you succeed, and those same friends can encourage you when you have moments of failure. There's nothing wrong with maintaining relationships from your past. I keep in touch with friends that I've known all my life. I don't necessarily ask them for advice on things, or I definitely don't gossip with them under the guise of catching up. And I don't vent to them, because no matter their success in life, if our interactions only serve to remind me of a time when that I've emotionally moved past, or where I've gotten over some things, or they consistently remind me of the me that I used to be, then I have to see them when I see them. They are not the people that I'm going to go to on a regular basis. I just don't have room for conversations that don't align with the me that I am now and the future that I'm creating for myself. Some relationships, and I don't know, what may have happened between us in those relationships, those are ones that I just don't have time for anymore. I'm not trying to fix them or trying to make it work. And then there are other relationships that I've just had to place in a different category. As we get older, we shouldn't throw around the term friend as often as we do, because friends are those ones that are your confidants, the ones that I was just talking about, that support you when you're doing well and they encourage you when you're not doing well. So some people are not in the friend category. They might be in the acquaintance category, or somebody that I know category. And I mean, maybe some other time I'll give definitions to those categories. But what I'm saying is, friends are the ones who are there when you need them. They are part of that community that you rely on. So the category of a past friend that I may have fond memories of, is different. They no longer fit in my life the same way. But it's okay, because I've purged the relationships. So I give energy, I give time, I give momentum to those relationships that are going to go with me in the future. Okay. So purging is good. Purging friendships, purging acquaintances, they're all good. And it's about you. It's not about them. It's not about hurting somebody's feelings. And it's definitely not about loyalty. You must start being loyal to your future self. So, what I'd like you to do is reflect on who genuinely supports your aspirations versus who keeps you anchored in old habits or fears of the past, or fake loyalty in your present. So take time today to create a relationship map. You're going to evaluate the impact of each connection in your life. And then you're going to put them in a category. Look, don't feel guilty about this either. This is for you. You're going to decide which relationships empower you and which ones drain you. Proverbs 13:20 says, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." This scripture reminds us of the influence that our company has on our path to wisdom and future success. When you get to a career crossroads, are you leaving or are you staying? Your job should be a reflection of your passions and your values. And you may say, Davina, what are you talking about? I don't have time for passions. I got to make this money. I get that. But not contemplating your work situation can cost you in your future emotions. Yeah, you're making money, but you don't have to make this same money for the whole of your career. You do have options and you have choice. And so, what I am encouraging you to do is to just look at where you are right now and what you're doing right now. And how does that stack up with where you want to be in the future? So, is your current role shaping you into the person that you aim to become? Or is it just, time for you to just seek something new? There's some new horizons out there. We are all entitled to change our situation, to see something different, to be something more than what we are right now. I've talked about the subject of work and career and how work impacts your emotions. So you're not happy at work, but it pays well, or this is what you studied in school. So you now have to do this, or you are afraid of rocking the boat and possibly regret leaving this job, that seems easy to you because you've done it for so long and you don't want to learn anything new. But if you're thinking of staying at that job that is painful for you to go to every day, that has you losing your hair and has you yelling at your kids, then you need to ask yourself, is this the place where I need to stay? Then you need to do another thing, and that's to evaluate your self worth. Not the worth that somebody else puts on you, not what they've told you in your performance reviews, and what you need to work on and what some opportunities are and what some challenges are, the whole lingo. Not that, but what you're worth to yourself. How what your emotions are doing and how you're feeling and what you want and life fulfillment, how that stacks up to yourself. Do you see yourself as valuable? Do you see yourself as beautiful inside, worthy of taking the time to look at your life and assessing what you have in your life and determining what changes need to take place? I want you to go back and check out the two-part video series that I did about whether or not if it's time to transition from your current position. And it's called 5 Strategies for Mastering Emotional Intelligence in Toxic Workplaces. Go back and watch these videos so that you can begin to create a strategy for your future that aligns with who you want to be, not just who you are right now. In your self-worth assessment, you have to start focusing on your happiness and your emotional well-being and start contemplating options for your future self. There is no one else can do this for you. And there is no one else that can partner with you to give you the right answer. There is no wrong answer because you determine the outcome. You determine what your future is by understanding what it is that you want right now. You may be comfortable right now, but right now, your comfort and security is in the hands of the corporate machine. Yeah, you're comfortable, but how long is that comfort going to last? All it takes is for a new manager, a buyout, a change in some kind of tax code, or a change in a policy to upset your apple cart. So stop right now and take control of your career goals. So if you're complacent and happy as long as you can pay your bills and nobody bothers you, then realize this work condition is not guaranteed. Here's how to determine what to do. Start with creating a strategy or a plan, and then list the pros and cons of your job in relation to your career goals. So think about the things that you're currently doing right now, the tasks, the responsibilities, the outcomes that you're measured by, the skills that you need in order to do your current job. All right, list those out. Then make a list of where you want to be in your future career. And it could be totally different from what you're doing right now, or you could be in line for that dream job that you want. Now you need to assess what else you need. Do you need more skills? Do you need to go back to school? Do you need to start taking on new responsibilities at work to line yourself up? And then you're going to compare where you are right now and where you want to go, and then make a plan or a strategy to get there. Consider how your current role lines up with your personal mission statement. Who are you giving to? This work that you're doing, who is it helping? And do you feel good about the work and how you're helping other people? Okay. There's a quote by Marie Curie, and it says, "We must believe that we are gifted for something, and that thing must be attained." What are those goals? It is paramount, and you are responsible for your self-fulfillment. And part of that is doing that thing that you want to do. Not saying you just stop and drop what you're doing right now and just pursue that thing. No, I'm saying that there is a way that you can do it, and it takes a plan and strategy. But the first thing is finding your self-worth and finding out what it is that you need to do and what you want to do. All right. So finding out if you got to leave that job is definitely important. Finding out if you got to, leave some people alone so that you can get to that point that you want to be in your career, that's definitely important too. The next thing you need to do is to take a personal pause and reevaluate your life choices. Sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do to change our life or change where we're going is to press pause. Taking a break from a relationship or a persistent habit can provide you with clarity. And you have to evaluate, are these relationships or habits serving me for my future self? Is this helping or hindering? The truth is that you have more control of your life than you give yourself credit for. And it's all about how you respond when things, good or bad, happen in your life, and where you have to make a choice, right? You have to make a choice to keep on your current path or to do something different, to switch it up. Do what matters most. Emotional intelligence is about managing your emotions. And if you have not managed the way you respond to people or situations that come into your life that you encounter, then you are partially responsible for the people and situations that are in your life today. Life as a triggered responder will leave you stuck. When you respond from the first emotion that you feel without thinking, or you say or do something that impacts your future self in a damaging way, it's because your emotions weren't in check. Take a moment to recall one instance, and this could have been yesterday, it could have been a couple of months ago when you were triggered and you said or did something that changed your life, that the outcome that you got wasn't the outcome that you wanted or the outcome that would have benefited you. And you realized that if you hadn't done that one thing, that you wouldn't have that bad outcome. There was one time that I was getting counseling because I was becoming overwhelmed after a significant life event. And you don't know how you'll react or respond to something until it happens to you. But with emotional intelligence, you have some tools in your arsenal that you can pull out when things unexpected happens. And one of them is recognizing when you need to go get counseling. Okay. So what happened was I had left a toxic work environment and I was trying desperately to do it all. I had this free time. So now not only am I having to redirect my career, I'm trying to make up for the things that I'm not bringing to the table I'm being transparent here, in my marriage, and just making up for time lost that I didn't clean the things that I wanted to, or trying to get organized and being this super person, right? I'll get to that. But my main focus was attempting to learn and to come up with some online strategy or something that was going to bring the money in, right? I needed to make money right now. I did not want to have to go back to corporate America. Like a lot of people, I had been abused. I had been abused by the pressure to meet unattainable expectations, from veiled threats from higher ups, right? For attempts to destroy my confidence. They didn't like the fact that I didn't just buy into the whole corporate thing, right? And then the little microaggressions in my corporate work experience, they all weighed heavy on me. So as a result, I was placing these hard and fast deadlines on myself as a response to the fear of having to go back and work for somebody else. I was making myself anxious and depressed, and I was watching people I knew and people online find success doing things independently. So I was pressuring myself, but I knew they weren't smarter than me. So why was it that I felt behind the eight ball and stuck? And when I say they weren't smarter than me, is because we have the ability to get access to information like never before. So there are all these things that we can do. So because someone found success doesn't mean they're smarter. That means they just did the things that it took to get to the success. All right. So the choices that I was making to fill the gap for not working a traditional job and not pulling my share financially at home, I was making these choices to cover for my perceived inadequacies. I perceived that people were looking at me like you should be doing more. Or I perceived that my husband felt some kind of way because I wasn't working at that time. Those were my perceptions, but that didn't make it so. Okay. So I told my therapist of all the things that I was doing and all the plans I had. And I was telling her how I was feeling, just trying to make these things happen. And I was getting overwhelmed for not meeting these high goals that I had set for myself and for not staying on my timeline. And she told me that I was making myself sick, that my choices and the activities that I implemented to fill that perceived void or those perceived voids were causing me stress. She finally said to me, Davina, now who created that timeline that you're working on? Of course, I said I did. I'm out of the corporate machine, so I'm in control. And then she said, if this timeline is causing you stress, change it. It was that simple. I have the power in my choices. I was putting the pressure on myself, which means I had the power to change it. So you're doing the same thing in areas of your life. Responding and designing my plan based on what other people were doing or how they look is a triggered response. And so now I do what works for me, not what other people are doing. Now, what someone else is doing might work for me, but if it's not working for me, then I have the choice. So when it comes to choices in my life, I must decide if the options offered work for me. The decision to select one option over another option is directly associated with the outcome that I'm planning for my future. So now I place activities in my life under subjection. You say under subjection? Yes, under subjection. I choose the activities that I bring into my life and how I manage them. Okay, so I control the nature of my choices about what I watch on television, what I consume media wise. I like watching reality shows. I use a lot of those situations in reality shows as topics, right? But if I see myself watching too much or somehow being too connected to a storyline, I commit to myself to stop watching for a time to protect my emotions and to protect my future, and to stop wasting time. If I'm really not using it for, work, and I'm just really getting involved and it's not adding value to my future, then I need to put it under subjection. That means I need to tell myself, okay, for 60 days, you're not watching reality TV. I can control myself. The same goes for participating in some conversations, or eating, or entertaining certain people, or drinking wine, or working, or exercise. Some things need to be put under subjection. We need to have control and know that we have control of ourselves. We have dominion on the earth. Our bodies are earthly vessels. We are spirit beings. So that means if we have dominion over the things over the earth, then we have control over our bodies. And I'm not saying it's always easy or successful, but I can certainly say to myself, I'm not going to watch this television show anymore, or I'm not going to watch the news anymore. My body is not going to compel me to do it when my mind is stronger than my body, and my spirit man has more power than my body. That's another topic for another conversation. Wasn't even planning on us talking about that. But anything that impacts my emotions adversely or negatively, I put a pause on it. And until I assess if this activity or relationship is beneficial to how I see myself in the future, it's not about anyone else. I use my freedom and empowerment to make a choice. Making the best decision for your life is only possible by focusing on logic and managing your emotions so you can plan for your future self. Remember, emotions impact thinking. Thinking impacts behavior, and your behavior, your choice, impacts your environment and your future self. So, what are some activities that are holding you back? What relationships are draining your emotional energy or causing emotional turmoil in your life? Take time to choose yourself. Choose sophisticated empowerment. One way to evaluate your life choices is to implement a trial separation from habits or relationships. Note the emotional and practical effects of their absence in your life. Look at how much time you have if you stop doing this activity or you stop gossiping with this one friend. Look how much more productive you can be at work. If, instead of going out to lunch with your buddies, you actually work on yourself at lunchtime so that you can plan what you need to do for the rest of your life, right? Think about how much more productive you can be in your life if you use those moments for yourself in the absence of all of the stuff that is just misdirecting our attention and causing us to be paused and stuck emotionally. Ecclesiastes 3:6 says, and I know you've heard this, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away. This verse speaks to the natural rhythm of acquiring and letting go as part of life's cycle. So, in this episode, we've explored the significant decisions of who to keep close, where to work, and when to take a step back for our emotional well being. These choices sculpt the masterpiece that will be your future life. For a deeper dive into curating a sophisticated future, join my monthly Emotional Reset Challenge. It's a space where we refine our emotional intelligence to make sophisticated and empowered decisions, leading to a life of elegance and purpose. Remember, sophisticates, you have the power to design your life's narratives. Choose wisely, live boldly, and let's journey towards our most empowered selves together.